Okay, so this question is probably one of the most, I guess, also pointless, meaningless questions you can even talk about or ask the question. Why does the universe exist in the first place? Why does the universe need to exist? And it really is such a pointless question because there's absolutely no answer, right? There's no way you know why. There's no way to figure it out. But being all into the whole philosophy simulation theory and my mind always wandering around, like, this is like one of those questions I can't help but every now and then come back to. Like, it's so weird, also so fascinating, so like mind boggling. Like when you this is it's just it's one of those things that nobody even thinks about on a day-to-day basis, obviously. I mean, I don't know, unless you're like some weird philosophy professor who's teaching this and talking about it every day, but the average person doesn't think about this, right? You don't go to work and then come home and sit down at the dinner table with your family and start talking about, like, hey, why does the universe even exist? But anyways, like, regardless of like your day-to-day busy lives and stuff, and same with me, it's not like I'm sitting here thinking about this all the time. But then once in a while, like, like once in a blue moon, you know how you just kind of like you start getting deep, you start thinking about your existence, and you go back. Like, it's like you think about yourself and then the planet and then humans and then the solar system, and you just keep going back further, and then you keep going further back. And like, obviously, if you're religious, yeah, it's the God thing, blah blah blah. God snapped his finger and created everything and all that. So okay, that's irrelevant because it doesn't really let you play around with the philosophy of it and like the whole deep dive into it. So you can't really, like, the God thing aside, like, you got to put the God thing aside, for at least for me when I think about it. Like, the universe itself, you go as far back as the Big Bang and whatever they believe, the scientists, and now they're talking about like multiple universes. Like, the universe itself is like inside of a black hole. Universes exist, like when a black hole is created, it creates a universe. I mean, who knows? Like, it is so complex. But the thing is, still, all those things are still physical things. Like, regardless of how big or small the universe is, right? Whether the universe is inside of black holes or not, or whatever the actual physical makeup is, because obviously it exists physically. But if you take it one step even further, it's not even like, when I think about it, I go so deep into, like, I don't think about it as the physical realm of the universe. It's not like I'm asking like the physical universe, because it's obviously here, right? We're inside it, you can see it. And even simulation theory, like when you talk about simulation theory, is our entire universe just a simulation? Is this a program? Well, that's possible too, but again, you got to go outside of that. If you put all of that aside and you're asking like the basic question of why it even exists, like, that's the part that just blows your mind the most. Like, that's the most mind-boggling part of it. Like, the fact that why does it even need to exist at all, whatever it is, right? Like, if you think about people, even religion, I guess, if you think about religions and God, like, people have asked that question too, especially atheists. They like to ask, well, if God exists, well, who created God? Where did God come from? And it's the same thing. If the universe has always existed, where did it come from? And then you have like the whole Big Bang. Okay, you go back as far back as the Big Bang. Well, what caused the Big Bang? What was before the Big Bang? These are all like questions that are literally impossible to answer. And I don't even think, I don't think how, no matter how far advanced we get, no matter how far AI advances them, it's virtually impossible to literally answer this question, because there is no answer. Like, you just can't answer it. But the thing that I keep going back to, like, the one thing that keeps bothering me too, is like, no, not bothering me, my mind just goes there. But it's like the fact that it didn't, if you think about it, like, it didn't need to exist, right? It's like, this is all, it's just like weird philosophy, physics bullshit crap, anyways. But just thinking about it, like, just think about the universe physically exists, okay? Or even God, like, God exists. Let's say for your religious people who believe in God, who's some sort of powerful entity, and it created the universe. It floats somewhere outside in the inside the realm of the universe, outside the realm of the universe, whatever. Like, the point is, even God, the universe, whatever, you can all put it together still and categorize it as something that exists, right? And we're thinking about that consciously because we're alive. So our minds think about it. So we're creating that reality in our minds. But at the same time, the funny thing, the crazy thing is, it didn't have to exist. You know what I mean? Like, you either have existence or you don't, right? Just as much as everything does exist, it could have also not existed, right? You have, like, if you want to talk about like computers and the whole programming language, you have the ones and the zeros, like the yes and the no's, right? Like, it could either exist or it could not exist. And right now it exists. We live inside it. We live inside this universe, or this God made created universe or a simulation, whatever. Again, it doesn't matter what you believe or what you want to call it. The point is the entire entity itself, like the actual existence exists, but it didn't need to. It didn't have to. And when you try to think of nothingness, it's like your mind can't even comprehend nothingness, right? Because if you try to like think about nothing, what is nothing? You close your eyes and you picture everything being like pitch black. Well, now you suddenly have a color, like that blackness, like black itself is something. So now you're picturing something white. Same thing with white. It's something like it's white or black or clear. Like your mind can't even comprehend nothingness, right? That's the crazy, bizarre part. But the thing is, my point is that nothing could have existed, right? I mean, in a sense, we could have had nothing. Like all of this existence, all this life, everything that we know, everything that we see, it didn't have to be here, right? And so, like, why does it exist? That's the part that blows your mind the most because obviously you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't exist to know it or feel it, but nothing could have existed. Like, that could have been a possibility. In this weird realm that we live in this weird universe, whatever, like, whatever our reality is, it could have also been just nothingness. It could have been nothing. Why wasn't it nothing? And then obviously that just steamrolls forward this whole idea of like what created us and why we're here. But nothing had to be here. Like, that's what's so bizarre. Like, it's like we didn't have to exist, but we exist. So why? Is it like, I sometimes think of it as a cycle, maybe. Is that what it is? Like, we literally have, you have something and then you have nothingness. The universe, whatever you believe, whatever your theory or ideology or whatever is, like, if the universe eventually does die out somehow, who knows how many billions and trillions and quadrillion years of it could take. But eventually, let's say something does kill this planet, destroy this planet, cease to exist, whatever. Sorry, not the planet, but the universe itself. Then maybe that's what happens. You go from a state of like existence and things being here and then not being here. And like, what time frame is it? Like, how long was there nothingness before there was something? And you can't even think of that in terms of time either, because time is just man-made. Time is something that we have kind of created in our mind. Our consciousness creates time. We think about time. We think about the universe. It's been here X amount of years, which right now they think it's like 13, 14 billion years roughly. And then there's some scientists who are actually starting to debate that whole theory and all that. And some believe it's actually a lot longer because the more they look into it, the deeper they go, the less it makes sense. And that's the other bizarre thing. Like, it doesn't make sense. You push the boundaries, they're seeing further and further into the universe or out of the universe, whatever you want to call it. They're looking at the edges. They're seeing galaxies that don't make sense. They're older than they should be, or they're younger than they should be. So the math just isn't mathing for them. So it doesn't make sense. And so the universe could have just always been here. And that's the thing. Like, has the universe always existed? And we are just floating along in the universe. Galaxies come and go. Maybe it's the galaxies that get destroyed and reborn. Maybe it is the actual universe itself. Like, is the universe inside of a black hole? Like, is every single black hole in the universe its own universe? And then you have like that bubble theory, you know, like multiple universes, multiple dimensions, and it's just like a floating ginormous space of bubbles with universes inside of them, like this endless sea of just constant universes. But even if you think of all that, like even all of that, you have these multi millions of universes, blah blah blah. Like, at the end, an option would still be for nothing to exist. None of this needed to exist. And was that how it was at one point? Like, did nothingness just actually exist? Is there such thing as nothingness? And like, how do you go from nothingness to something? And even if it's God, okay, well, then what created God? How can God just have always been? And it's the same question. That's the thing. If you want to use God as an excuse, that's fine. But the problem with that is, again, like, that's obviously a scapegoat. You're just saying God because you don't understand. You can't answer the question. So you just say God. Yes, it was God, and God's been around forever, and it's just blah blah blah. It's God. Yeah, you know, whatever. It's God. It's God. That's the answer. But even then, like, that's the whole point. Like, what created God? And then your answer to that is, well, nothing created God. It's just you can't understand God. God is just this thing that exists. Well, God being a thing that exists can also be the universe. It's the exact same thing. Whether God exists and created the universe, or whether the universe was just here to begin with and has always been here, it's the exact same thing. And that's what I find so funny about religion and people who are super religious and extremists. I mean, again, I wouldn't want to dive too deep into that stuff. Like, not to get too religious, but I mean, if you think about it, if you push back enough, or rather not push, rather pull back, if you like you zoom out and you look at the whole picture. You'd like, if you're religious, like, how do you not realize it's the same thing? Like, yeah, I know it's just a belief, it's a belief system, but how do you not realize that what you believe as a religious person and what a scientist who's like a hardcore atheist believes is exactly the same thing? It's like you got these two groups. You got like kind of like the religious sect, the religious people, and you got like the science people who are atheists or whatever. They don't believe in God, and then there's other people. Oh, there has to be a God. Of course, there's a God, but it's the exact same thing. Don't you realize that whether God exists and God created us all, and God's just something that we don't understand, but it exists and has always existed? Well, that's me saying the exact same. That's exactly like me saying the same thing about the universe. The universe is something we do not understand. It is ginormous. It's huge. It's always been there, and it just is. And at least when you think of it as a universe, at least it makes a little more sense from the scientific angle. But it's like, but even then, I guess it doesn't. That's the point, right? Like, it's the same thing. God, universe, Big Bang, it all just started from something that we do not know, and like, it didn't have to exist. And even if you do believe in God and you say God exists and God created everything, well, God didn't have to exist, right? That's one reality. That's one possibility. You live your life, a religious life, and like, God created everything and God created you. But God didn't have to exist. Like, you could not be here. Maybe like that would be one option. It would be possible. It would be an option for you not to exist, for God not to exist, and we would just have absolute nothingness, just empty space. But again, it wouldn't even be space, because the fact that I'm saying the word space, you're picturing a space. You know what I mean? Oh my god, that's why this shit blows my mind. It's like, you just go so deep and so far. So what's the point of all this, right? And of course, yes, I know exactly what a lot of people say all the time. What's the point of even thinking about this stuff? There's like, why are you wasting your life thinking about this? Are you worrying about this? And no, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with worrying about this. It's philosophy. It's just thinking. It's thought. It's going deep. It's exploring your mind, right? Just as much as you'll sit down and watch a movie for 2 hours, what's the point of sitting and watching some TV show or some movie, like, whatever movie? You sit and watch Star Wars for 2 hours. You sit and watch Harry Potter, whatever. It's a movie. You're getting entertained. Like, there's no meaning to that either. Sit and waste 2 hours. You can sit and waste 2 hours watching a TV show, playing a video game, reading a book. You can also sit and philosophical. What the hell is the word? I don't even know what the hell philosophize. I guess that's the word. When you just think, oh my god, I'm so high. So when you think about philosophy, it's theories you're exploring, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same shit. So yeah, in terms of like worrying, yeah, it's not about worrying about these things. It's just, you have to sometimes stop and really explore the depths of existence and how far it goes and like what it means. Like, in a way, I guess it's also humbling. It's like confusing. It's like magnificent in a way. Like, it's just, your brain needs that. You can't become so engrossed in all the details without once in a while just really zooming out and taking in the whole picture. But not that's that I don't even know, that's not why that was my point. Wasn't even to do that. But my point is just, I don't even have a point. I mean, I'm just ranting anyway. Who the hell knows what I'm talking about? But I just find it fascinating that we have no idea where any of this came from. And like, it's something you'll never be able to answer. And like, the universe just exists, at least for us right now. And I mean, if you think about it, we're all alive individually, and we all have our own brains, our own consciousness. So when you die, and of course, people don't understand what happens. Like, does the universe cease to exist for you? Of course, in a way, it does. But again, that depends on your beliefs. I mean, again, if you're a religious person and you believe in God, the afterlife, then you die, and your body goes somewhere else. You know, although a lot of, even like some atheists or some of these science people, they still believe like your body has energy, like the universe could be alive to a certain degree. Like, the universe itself has energy. Like, when you die, who knows what happens? Does your body somehow transcend into this other weird, like, I mean, they don't even understand this. Like, our conscious does not make sense. The fact that our brains can do all this, you can think things, you can visualize things, you can access things with your mind that just make no sense. And so yeah, like, if you die, the universe ceases to exist for you. And like, for it keeps going for other people. But if you get reincarnated, or you get reincarnated into the same universe, is it a separate universe? Is that what the Big Bang is? The Big Bang is just every single individual's existence coming into life, which in a way it is. Like, when you're born and you come out of your mother's womb, that is your own personal little black hole. I mean, not black hole, Big Bang. You're like, well, I guess it could be a black hole too. You just came out of a black hole because every universe is inside of a black hole, and that's like your mini little Big Bang. Your universe gets created right then and there. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the universe is just created by your own consciousness, by your own thought processes. And maybe the fact that there are countless universes in multiple dimensions and all that, maybe every single individual has their own universe in a certain way. And that's why it has to exist, because you created the universe yourself. Your own existence has created the universe that you currently live inside of. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Because nothing makes sense. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of what I'm talking about. And that's what I love. I love the fact that nothing makes sense. We live in this universe that nothing, like, we don't understand it, but we have these laws of physics. We have these laws of the world that you can't break, which is also fascinating. And I used to think about that a lot when I was younger too. Like, you live in a universe with laws. You got gravity, and you got these, force and motion and energy, electrical currents. You push something, something moves. If there's no gravity, you can float and all this stuff. But it's like, at the core of it all, it still makes no sense. And even scientists don't fully understand this. And then I would always think about it, like, what's stopping you from breaking the rules of the universe? Like, how do you cross over to cross some sort of barrier into another realm of, like, breaking those laws? Because if you don't understand this universe, you can't explain existence. You don't even know why we're here. We have no idea what created the universe. So why are we also bound by these strict rules of the universe? Like, even gravity, something as simple as gravity. The more I keep hearing about it, reading about certain things, like, a lot of people don't even fully understand how gravity works. Gravity doesn't make sense. The universe doesn't make sense. The empty space in the universe doesn't make sense. They're talking about, like, matter and antimatter. There's space, and then there's, like, empty space. They talk about black matter. They talk about black space, stuff that, like, they're trying to fill the void. Like, there's so many calculations and stuff that they do that just doesn't make sense or doesn't add up. And so if you live in a realm, if you live in this existence that does not make sense, then perhaps, just like the Matrix, just like the simulation, maybe there are ways to break those rules. Like, you can't fly because it's physically impossible. But why? What are the limitations? In a universe that doesn't make sense, what is preventing you from breaking those barriers on such a deep psychological level? And this kind of ties in with the whole, I guess, group consciousness thing. We have created this, maybe we created this universe, our collective consciousness. We set out the rule. And I talked about this before too in one of the previous crazy rants, which I love doing when I get high, because, like, it's the best time to think of stuff like this. So you're living in this universe, which could be a simulation, just like the Matrix, just like the whole Neo thing. So if it's something that's programmed like that, what is stopping you from breaking certain rules or breaking certain programs? Like, why can't you fly? Why can't you do magical things? Like, we literally don't even know why we exist, right? Like, the Big Bang in theory implies that just something came out of nothingness. Existence was created out of nothingness. And how linked in is this with our consciousness? As a collective, have we created the rules? Like, we created gravity because we needed to explain gravity, right? Just like how God exists for so many people, because they needed to create God to make sense of things. So it exists for those people who are religious and God. And the atheists have their own group and thing or whatever. And like whatever you create in your mind, your belief, your consciousness, your belief system. So if our entire existence came out of nothingness, the Big Bang came out of nothing. You had nothingness, and then there's like the Big Bang, the tiny size of an atom thing. People believe like everything was created from like the tiniest little particle, and it blew up into this and expanded. Like that doesn't even make sense. Of course that doesn't make sense. Common sense doesn't let that make sense. So it breaks the rule. Like, that existence itself breaks the rules of common sense, right? Like, the fact that we exist doesn't make sense. And so if we all came out of nothingness, the universe came out of nothingness, technically I should be able to just hold out my hand and picture an apple, create an apple, want an apple to just physically appear out of nowhere. Like, just poof, like literally magic. I mean, that's what it would be, magical. But like, if the universe itself can exist out of nothingness, why can't I, with the power of my mind, with the power of my will and consciousness, create something out of nothingness? This entire existence came out of nothing. You should be able to literally fabricate anything out of your own mind. Like, you should be able to just make an apple appear out of nothingness, because we literally are. a product of nothingness. Everything came from nothing, as far as we know, as far as we understand, at least. Like that's what our current science and technology tells us. And if it is a simulation, and if it is all created by some sort of, program entity, whatever, then just like Neo in the Matrix, you should still be able to break the rules. You should still be able to, bend the spoon like the little boy does in the first Matrix movie. Like, why can he bend the spoon? Because there is no spoon. Like, you don't actually exist. If you're a program within a program within a program and all that, then just like viruses and malware and all these system upgrades, you should be able to, there should always be a way to manipulate the system or break the system. And just, I don't know. Man, I have no idea. But I think some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because deep down, you know that what I'm talking about is your mom